Sounds good. Okay. Yeah. So hi, how's it going?
Hello. How about you, man? Long time.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You
I'm doing
changed
so.
your look as well.
Yeah, it's been so long. Yeah, it's too hot over here. The humidity is less
Hmm,
compared to other times, so that's all. So we
nice.
are gonna jump into the game, like interviews and all. We are
Sure,
just
sure.
checking if the transcript is working properly. Just give me
Okay.
a minute. Okay, one, two, three, one, two, three. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of easy things. First of all, can you please state your name and your position in the gaming industry?
Okay. So my name is Pratik Babar. I've
Okay.
been working in the gaming industry for the last 6 years. I started off as a trainee testing, and I've worked as a QA lead as well. Currently, I'm a senior game QA with Zensa Technologies.
Mhm.
Do you want like my previous experiences as well, or
Yeah,
like just that?
if it is okay for the questions.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So, like I said, I have 6 years of experience. I've worked at Ubisoft at its Pune studios as well as Rockstar Bangalore. I've
Mhm.
worked on some big titles, namely Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Just some like the game came out the moment I joined, so not much.
Mhm.
Then mostly on Ghost Recon series. I've worked on some other projects that I can't name at Ubisoft. And then notably, I've worked on Red Dead Redemption 2, the Red Dead Online part of it. Um, Again, the game was already released and Rockstar was still developing its online aspect. Apart from it, where you and I met, namely at Godspeed Games, where I worked on a number of AA titles, indie titles. My role would be like ensuring gameplay quality, for example, testing features across platforms, multiplayer, co-op. So I would say, like with regards to this interview,
Mhm.
while I think QA does not directly influence narrative or art direction, I think
Mhm.
you also, as QA, often observe how cultural elements or design choices are received when a player is globally, like a global player is taking, view of it, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's the thing because I wanted to let my in my dissertation.
Hmm.
Want to write how the new games from India, like basically indie games, which has more impact on the other world,
Right.
like outside world. Want to write something that how the user end gets affected by the cultures and representation from that particular part.
Mm.
Your screen went blank actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah. So for my second question, what has been your observation of the growth and evolution of the indie game development in India?
So, okay, if I had to go back a little, I would say when I started off in 2019, and even when I was studying game art and design in Hyderabad, the Indian indie scene, we will just call it, because I would say these AAA studios who now have presence in India are also part of the Indian game development evolution story. So I will go that Indian scene has evolved from like a mobile first market, like when we were learning, developers and even studios were very focused on like getting that ad revenue, Play Store, that sort of a thing. And
Okay.
now slowly over the years, it's become more diverse globally. Like even developers, us as gamers, we grew up. And then when we got into the industry, we were aware of how the ecosystem works globally. So I'll say over the last decade, we're seeing studios that are taking creative risk, even though like financially, it's not that easy to do that in India. Um, the democratization of internet specifically in India lets people learn tools like Unity and Unreal, which have made like someone I can sit at home and start learning and even developing my game, and then now there are events happening across India as well. Most notably, IGDC that takes place every year in Hyderabad,
Mhm.
and they've helped raise visibility as well. I can go to said events, showcase my games, attract sponsors, attract producers, things like that. So I think it's a really beautiful story that we've gone from making small apps for the Android Play Store to
Mhm.
games like Raji, the biggest example I can give right now, where you can talk about mythology, folklore, society issues, things like that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that is a good example over there for the IDG and the Raji ones. I can
yeah.
see that from point of view. For my next question, how would you describe the global receptions of Indian-made games over the last few years? Like we just talking about Raji, which has been the bigger hit, and
Hmm.
then also we can talk about Detective Dawson, which came out. I want to
Hmm.
know your opinion on that particular thing. How the user reception.
Um, I think gaming as a market is huge. I would say I'm optimistic, but I have my reservations about it. I am cautious. So let's talk Raji again for a second. It opened international eyes to Indian mythology. Like people have been enjoying God of War for years, and now they still do to some extent. Games like Hellblade have opened their eyes to mythologies of different, cultures, and I think Raji is a good start. um so it's, I would still say it's a foot in the door. It's not something that's made people aware. Visibility, for example, in India is a big challenge. um Global players such as say PlayStation, Xbox still are looking for like culturally rich experiences, but just saying this is an Indian open world game, Indian mythology game, is not enough. Like you are a gamer yourself.
Yeah.
When you look at a game, what drives you to be like, I like this trailer, I feel like I should buy this, is things like gameplay, things like polish, things like the way the storytelling is done. That still decides if I'm going to pay for it or not. And as a gamer sitting in India, I can decide that, okay, I want to put money where my mouth is and I'm going to support Indian developers. But when somebody, say, is sitting in Australia today and he looks at a trailer of an Indian mythology focused game, he's not going to be that motivated if it's just you know Indian made game, let's do something about it. It's always going to be the same parameters: gameplay. Do I like the gameplay? Do I like, so at least one of these things should hook in the user to be like, okay, I'm going to invest in this game. And I think it's true for everyone globally, including Indians supporting Indian games.
Okay. That was a really great answer for that point. So, like,
Okay.
just talk about the rule and perspectives in the industries. So, how do you think it will affect the upcoming Mukti game by the Underdog Studios?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. Not a lot of information is out yet. I went through the hero project basically, as well as the game trailer. I tried to, get as much as possible from the little I saw. Went through their description on Steam and stuff. Um, it's grabbed my attention for sure. They showed a trailer wherein it was a very basic trailer. I would say it kind of introduced you to a premise. It was very eerie, but the description said that it tackles a society issue of human trafficking, which even by Indian media goes very unnoticed here. So it's a very commendable goal, and for Sony to notice it and invest in it is very good. I think we should be very optimistic about it, but we should also wait for more information before we pass judgments and make put a label on the game, whether it will be amazing, it will be bad, or it's this type of game, it's that type of game. I think it's good that they're taking their time to bake it. It's good
Yeah.
that they are going against what sounds like a trend in today's gaming world. And so I'm very excited and I would like to see further when I get more information.
Let's move on to the culture and representation part. The first
Mhm.
question for my end is, what are your thoughts on how Indian culture is portrayed in locally developed games, considering Mukti
Um,
in that thing?
right. So I think it's good. First, Indian culture or Indians would be represented in a very stereotypical way. Um, and I think for the first time when I was playing Mass Effect, the first part, I was very surprised and happy to see an Indian character. There's an NPC you meet in the first level who talks about war and how his family is dealing with it. And I was really surprised. I don't think they meant it as an Indian thing because in Mass Effect, there are no countries, you're just Earth. But still, you could tell that this is an Indian voice actor and this is an Indian name.
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful. I think moving from just top of the layer superficial stereotypes to more thoughtful, layered ways. So we're seeing that I think a lot in Mukti. Like I said, that they're tackling a very specific social issue while embracing our culture and history. There is another game called Venba on Steam. It's made by like a Tamil Canadian person,
Okay.
and they're also moving beyond like just a mythology. India has great mythology. Don't get me wrong, but it's also about if you look at say a sci-fi game, if you look at something that's a game that's set in a certain location, they don't really go heavy on their culture or on their mythology. They just show what it's like to live in that country in that time. And I think that balance of having to show what layered and deep culture and mythology Indians have with the authenticity of a daily life of a say a person in Pune, in Mumbai, in Chennai is a very beautiful challenge. And I think that's happening now with a lot of developers who are making these open world games set in different cities of India as well. And I think it's long overdue. I will agree to a fault that every time I've seen a lot of even cancelled projects where okay, yeah, it's based on Indian mythology, and I'm like, yes, true, go for these open world GTA like games, but also show uh, depth as well. And I think I'm really happy with how the trend is currently going.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next one. Do you see culturally rooted games like Mukti as a trend or a niche in the broader industry?
If we are talking about right now, it's still definitely a niche. I
Mhm.
mean, it's getting traction. Somebody like PlayStation endorsing it, investing in it, will get global interest in eventually. I think the biggest example when it comes to culturally rooted and historical interests and things would be Ghost of Tsushima. So imagine something like that can definitely coexist where like the game is culturally rooted, but the gameplay and narratives bring it to the level of more commercially acceptable titles. Of course, you have to meet player expectations in terms of quality, mechanics, in terms of accessibility, things like that. But yeah, I think it could become a trend. It's like a pot of gold, basically. Like you don't know much, somebody, it's a niche interest, takes interest, and then notices that, oh, this actually sounds amazing. And then I want to explore more of games like these. And then it could become a trend. But for the moment, yes, it's still a niche, definitely.
Okay. Come back to the PlayStation part at the end. So,
Hmm.
what challenges do Indian developers face in balancing cultural authenticity with global market expectations?
Oh, that's good. I think
Sorry,
major
expected.
challenge is localization. Um, so back when I met my now wife, the biggest challenge we faced was, despite both of us speaking English, she did not understand a word of what I was saying due to the heavy Indian accent. And so when we talk localization, it's not about just translating text, putting in subtitles and things like that. We need to make culturally specific examples, like things that just only make sense in Marathi or only make sense in Hindi, have to make sense when you localize them to English speaking audiences as well. But at the same time, you cannot like dilute their essence. Um, so I think there, and then there is a pressure to like make it like an exotic cultural thing, but so that Western audiences kind of flock to it. So I would say the challenge is that you need to walk that fine line where you're trying to stay true to the like cultural authenticity, but you're also trying to make it relatable for a guy sitting in the UK to be like, ah, yeah, that resonates with me, and I want to see this game. I want to play it. That sort of a thing.
Okay, so that's how the cultural representation can be done in the Mukti for the time
Yeah.
being. Okay, let's move on to market and institutional dynamics. I know this is not your expert level thing for that
Right.
particular
Yeah.
thing, but as the user, which are going to might buy the game or might want to buy the game,
Yeah.
I wanted to know from the other, like the end of the person who is going to buy the user end. So I wanted to know your opinion on this one too. What
Yeah.
are the main barriers to internationalize for Indian indie developers?
Money. I think
Money.
funding, discoverability. Like, I have friends in Germany. I told them about Raji. I tried to explain things. They liked it to some extent, but they said that there was no way that they would have known about games like these, even Venbird, unless somebody told them. Because you first need to have enough money to make your game, and then to do a marketing push for it. um, many talented teams in India don't even have the resources to invest in like global marketing or attend international events. Like when we were in Godspeed Games, I was gladly surprised to know that our CEO, Mr. Ranbir, was actually visiting Gamescom every year, and it made me happy to hear that, because that is important. You just can't make, oh, I made an amazing 10 on 10 game. You would still not make money out of it, even if it's your passion project, unless it gets that global recognition. And without marketing, without international events, that's very difficult to do. um, Even now, the way we find out about what games are coming is when we watch events like the Game Awards. We watch events like what it's coming up, like Gamescom opening night live. When we see trailers on these big stages, we know what's coming. We know what to expect. We decide what goes in our wish list and what we are going to ignore. And for that, I think there is also a lack of mentorship as well around publishing the games, which platforms to partner with. So, for example, Epic Game exclusivity deals as such. There was a trend a couple of years back where a lot of indie developers were going from Steam to Epic because of the support they were giving them, because of the upfront funds they were making available. So this mentorship and publishing information platform partnership, I think this needs to be taught, because Indian development scene is still kind of going towards making games, and then what comes after is a big hurdle. So if we want to scale these games beyond Indian markets, if we want people other than Indians living in India to buy these games, then we need that discoverability factor, as well as when we have the money to make games, which is still again another problem as well.
Okay. Your camera is slightly glitching at my end. Can you turn it off and on again?
Okay, give me a second. Is it better?
No, actually, can't even see you now.
I think it's because I have the app on the browser. Give me a
uh,
second.
no worries, no worries. Let me turn on the light too. Okay.
Trying to detect some other camera that's not even there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's okay now.
It's,
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Since you worked for a lot of PlayStation games in the past experience, you were
mhm.
mentioning about like Idea 2 and Redemption 2. So I wanted to know about your opinion on this one. How the question is, how effective are initiatives like Sony India's Hero Project in promoting Indian games abroad?
Oh, it's a great start. I was really happy to see it. They will, like what we were talking about in the previous question, they will provide a lot of visibility, a lot of credibility as well. Um, People could dismiss games coming out of India as, okay, yeah, just another low quality indie game. But when you see something like Sony backing the project, it immediately becomes this center of attention. My thought the game that comes to mind is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was one of the initiatives back in the day when it was just an indie project trying to survive, where Sony took an interest in it, wanted like the eventual launch and problems with No Man's Sky were a different thing. But a big portion of bringing this incredible game to people's attention was Sony's backup providing it. The scale is still limited. I think what we were talking about a few questions back about mentorship. I think for real impact, these programs become need to become more frequent, open ended, like people can participate, show their games to Sony, and then Sony decides. Should become like long term as well. You know how long AAA games need for making. RDR was in 6 years in development. GTA 6 is, we don't even know how long it's going to be, and things like that. And if we want to hear, okay, this is like, so for example, Wukong last year, if you want to hear this first AAA game coming out of India, titles such as that, then we need like a long-term support. We need mentorships. We need information. And I'm not saying that there are not talented people sitting in India, but they need to be recognized. They need to be brought together so that something like this could promote Indian games abroad. It's a great start. I really hope that so games that will eventually come under Sony's India Hero project do great internationally, so that more partners can show up on Indian shores, providing partnerships and long-term support like that.
Thank you for that. Okay, so like we talked about how PlayStation is doing so great and about how the Epic Games is helping the other things like exclusivity and all that. My next question is based on that particular platform. So the question goes like, what roles do platforms like Steam, PlayStation, Epic Store, or mobile stores play in shaping visibility for Indian content?
Oh, I think they're very critical. Steam and PlayStation are quite easy to approach. I think Steam, you can just go and publish your own game as an indie developer on it. But discoverability seems to be a problem. Every day, like hundreds of games are added on these storefronts, which we don't even hear about. And algorithms that are set will prioritize already top selling games. Like you go to the Steam storefront, you will see first tab is top sellers today or trending games today. For us to have like Indian games, which like themes of Indian mythology and history. I think Steam does something like South Asian spotlight sale and things like that, which sometimes give visibility. Um, Mobile, it's not really great. It's all ad driven, so it's really harder to break through in mobile game storefronts without you unless you have a good marketing budget. But again, I think platforms such as Steam and PlayStation will give you this storefront where even a guy from North Korea can buy your game. But then doing good on these platforms is all in your hands when you talk as a publisher or a developer based out of India.
Hmm. We're talking about Mr. Kim from North Korea, right? The one
Whoever
guy.
is playing that the one person who plays Steam in North Korea, that guy.
Yeah. Okay, so we are done with the marketing institutional dynamics. We are gonna
Mhm.
go step ahead with the industry support and strategic advices. So since we were talking about
Yeah.
how the main barriers for internationalization of the indie developers were like fundings, mentorship, publishing, marketing, and all that.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, what is the most needed aspect into them? Like the question goes, what support system, example, funding, publishing, marketing, mentorship, are most needed in the Indian indie space?
I think I will still stand with what I said before. I think funding and
Mhm.
mentorship, these two are really needed. We don't want like we everybody's welcome. I don't want to mean that way. What I'm saying is now you see that I will put all my in money effort. Indian developers will makes a game and then it gets recognized and they get some kind of funding or help. What we need is funding and mentorship from an early stage grant. Like, don't give me like half of your company or I will own this game IPs, not something like that. We need like experienced mentors and studios who are like, oh, that's a great idea from the storyboard itself, and we will
Mhm.
support you. And we will help you with things like narrative design, monetization, or pitching this game to Sony and other platforms, and all we want you is to use your talent to make the game. I think that kind of a support will be amazing because every like leading country where good games come out of, you will find programs like this, either from the government or the studios. So I think if that's why I said like if the Sony Hero project goes up, then we can see that kind of a support, and that would be much better for Indian developers and publishers, like studios. I mean, not publishers.
Okay. Well, we are only going to go with the platforms for the time being, so we can't say anything about
Okay.
the publishers. So let's move on to the next question. Are there specific policies, institution, or partnership that have helped boost the visibility of Indian games? We know about the Sony Hero project, but is there anything apart from that particular thing, like the governments or anything else?
Hmm. So NASCOM has a gaming forum,
Mm-hmm.
and there are events, like I said, like IGDC that play a very important role. I think IGDC has become this cornerstone of Indian games where like everybody now has to show up if you are somebody who wants like a prominent place in the Indian gaming industry. There are international incubators taking interest. I spoke about Epic's mega grants, and Google Play does indie program as well, which have helped a few teams. we'll need something government based on it,
Mhm.
so that you can only depend on outside factors for until you're making them profit, to be very real. But there are cultural grants in countries like South Korea, in countries like Canada, recently through Czech Republic and things like that, where when you do something that furthers cultural information about your uh, area or a country. When we talk about culture in India, we can't really talk about India as a whole. There's so many different zones where different cultures take place. So something like that, if we have, it's, I know it sounds like a dream, but if we have something government based in India where I can display my game to said government authority, show them that, oh, I'm making a game about, say, the Maratha Empire, and it
Mhm.
will bring a global audience to the history of Western India. So then getting a support like that could be tremendous, having policies like that. But for now, it's not like there's nothing, but that would be the next step.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So, for my last question, what
Okay.
advice, this is a personal, your own opinion,
Okay.
and nothing have to do anything about the whole industry and all that. What
Mhm.
advice would you give to a studio trying to export a culturally rich narrative game globally?
Globally. Okay. Um, I think when you've moved to UK, when you talk to people in UK, I think there might have been moments where, despite having different environments growing up, things must have resonated with the friends you've made there, things that your thoughts are similar on specific ideas, specific stories. So I think that should be the focus, on universal opinions. A game that's built on Indian culture can still connect with somebody who is sitting in Poland or sitting in Brazil if it talks about themes like family, like identity, like resistance. I think a lot of countries have gone through their own independence struggle. So if I make a story about, say, Bhagat Singh, about Chandrasekhar Azad, they see that it will resonate with them about some um, personality in their own country. These ideas are universal. The story is like a layer on top of it, how you tell it. So like I said, so even if it's based on Indian culture, it can still resonate with someone. I was talking to one of my colleagues the other day, um, somebody who plays Ghost of Tsushima and really likes the game, can then go and be like, oh, I really want to see what actually happened. Game is in its own place, but I'm interested in the history now. Or
Mhm.
somebody can play a game based on Ramayana and then actually be so interested in it that I will go and now read the Ramayana. Same goes for God of War with the Norse mythology. Same goes for Assassin's Creed with the historical periods that in most of these games that take place, the Renaissance, the Caribbean pirates, things like that. So, and I think one of the best ways to do that is make a game that's actually good and then have these themes in it as well. Like invest in polishing the game very well, strong UI, UX, good localization, like we spoke about. And I think early on in the game, we should get like people from different countries to try out the game to see
Mhm.
if it actually resonates with them. Cultural nuances should be like a bridge between different cultures. It should not be a barrier. You shouldn't tell a person who didn't like your Indian culture game that, oh, you wouldn't get it. It's an Indian thing. It should be like, oh, Indians are much like us as well. It's just a different way their story is being told. So that's what I think about culturally rich narratives in a globally, like, game.
Okay, I got your point for that thing. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's it for your interview. I'm gonna stop the recording and
Okay.
we transfer it, and we can talk afterwards if you want for a few minutes.
Sure.